And welcome into the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater, alongside Richard de the Cruz and Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Good evening.
It is Monday, March 24th, 2025. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/gamingdiscourse, patreon.com/the gaming discourse. You can support us for $247, $10. Get your name in the video credits, early access to our videos, access to our Discord server, and more. Assassin's Creed Shadows has released. I'll be talking about that in a little bit. Update. So we have a few important updates for Patreon members coming up in a little bit. I am working on something right now that is going to take a while. Patreon members will know more details within the coming weeks, and we'll see how things go. So if you're interested, check us out on Patreon, and I'll have not just what I'm working on now, but sort of a plan for the summer in terms of what content is going to be put onto the YouTube channel. So yeah, go and check out our Patreon. Okay, how are you?
Good. How are you?
How have your video gaming been?
Fine.
Fine.
Been playing a lot of the show 25.
I saw it. Did you, so that's the new one, correct?
Yes.
Is that the new one? Yeah. How's the new one?
It's fine.
Like most sports games?
Yeah.
Probably just fine. Yeah. Okay. Are there any new like additions or anything? I don't know.
They've made changes to like the road to the show, and they've updated the AI's brain in franchise mode, so you can't easily dupe them out of all-star players.
Dang it.
Yeah, I know. But I want to go into this first thing real quick.
Sure.
I didn't realize until someone had pointed it out, but if you pick to play as the A's, it's just the athletics. They don't have a location.
Oh, really? There's
It's just blank.
Just the athletics. They're just athletics. Huh?
Yeah.
Damn.
And this was pointed out because
bad.
if you play Road to the Show and you're like your rookies like doing really well in the minor leagues, occasionally you'll see a fan from a side will say like your first name or your last name. We'll see you win blank soon. And I don't know if they did this intentionally. It was a little tongue-in-cheek joke, but it works that way if it wasn't intentional. But the one for if you were drafted by the A's, it says, we'll see you win and there's nothing soon.
Oh, no. The situation with the A's is just so sad, and it makes me disappointed. But okay, so what else is going on with the show?
So in the new Road to the Show, the playing as the character you wish you could have been.
Sorry, can I interrupt you real quick?
Go ahead.
So on ESPN right now, it's just athletics.
Yeah.
So I did not realize this. Even ESPN,
yeah, because they're no longer playing.
Yeah, because they're not in
the
Oakland.
Coliseum.
Yeah. And last time, are they were playing in a AA stadium or AAA stadium?
Yeah,
right?
Sacramento. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where they're going to play their home games this year.
That's where.
It's the same stadium.
Currently right there, yeah.
But because they're in this weird limbo.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous.
100%.
I don't remember what the owner's name is. It doesn't matter. But just sell the goddamn team. Just god damn it. Why do you care? It's just a toy. You're a billionaire. Sell it and go find something else to do.
He was trying to sell it.
I don't remember the whole story.
He was trying to sell it, but he wasn't accepting offers that he didn't like because they weren't enough billions of dollars.
Yeah, the story, the way I understand it, I remember it, is that his efforts to sort of find a solution to the problem that everybody would like were sort of half-assed. And Oakland being split or having like no home right now is not the only outcome that was possible.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mix of incompetence and greed, and also just the general boredom of billionaires. But anyway, I'm sorry. Back to the show. Man, that's weird to see. It just says athletics on ESPN.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the show.
So if you play Road to the Show, you start off in your high school career. You start off at senior day, then you play in the high school, your state championship series. It's very bare bones. Because when you create your player, you pick where they're from: East, Central, West, South, or international. And the teams from your high school are East, Central, West, and South.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
South America High School, East America High School.
Exactly. And then as you're playing through those games in high school, you're contacted by college recruiters, and you start getting interest from professional teams. You get invited to the combine, you do that stuff, then you pick a college that your character wants to sign to. There are 8 colleges that they got to sign on.
Oh, okay.
So
actual
colleges. So it's UCLA,
okay,
Cal State Fullerton,
all right,
Vanderbilt.
Okay, both big baseball schools.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Another big baseball school.
LSU.
Okay. I don't know much about LSU baseball.
University of Texas.
That's well, whatever.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
TCU.
Okay.
And South Carolina State. Go Gamecocks.
Okay, interesting. Right.
And each has their own they're given like different ratings, and like the exposure rating, which will like help boost like if you decide to, after being drafted, to go to college instead. Mm-hmm. Colleges with a higher exposure rating will increase your draft stock easier.
Sure.
Or you can balance it out and go for a school that will develop you more, so you get more points to put into your character.
Oh, okay, interesting. I imagine schools like Vanderbilt are more the development schools.
Yeah.
While you're like Texas, LSU, those are going to be the
big exposure schools.
The big exposure schools. That makes sense.
Yeah, and each that comes with, like, if you go to LSU, like you'll be getting a batting perk for power. If you go to like Texas, it's defensive perks. Each school has their own focus, so to help you build out how you want your character to be. Again, much like high school, it's 8 colleges. It's very bare bones.
So you're just playing East University.
Well, no. You go from high school to 3-year skip.
Oh, so you don't play games in college?
You play the championship series in college. Oh,
okay. And it's against
those 8 schools.
Oh, fun. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And then you go into your professional career after that. After that point, nothing has changed from the show 24. Yeah. You still can't like make any real decisions as a player. If you like want to initiate a trade, you have to get past the 5-year deadline in baseball that happens, and then your agent will call you at the end of the season and be like, do you want to trade? And then you're like, yes, and they're like, all right, I'll put out some feelers, and then it's just RNG after that.
Okay.
So I wish there were a little bit more on the interactive player side of like being a baseball player and like actually like.
Can you negotiate contracts and stuff like that?
You can.
Okay, that's cool.
But again, after your rookie year, you make it, but then you're locked in for 5 or however long you negotiate down to.
Yeah.
And if you're a really good rookie, you're getting franchised in.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get a disc copy or physical?
Digital.
Digital. See, you son of a. No, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say because I'd want to try it because I feel the itch to. I hopped back into the show 22 on the Switch, but I was like, man, this as much as I enjoyed on the Switch, it's probably great on PS5 running at a much better
frame rate. Yeah,
much higher frame rate.
God, those frame rates on the Switch version are atrocious.
But they work. They're okay. Yeah. It's fine. Like I played a lot on the Switch, but yeah, when you flop,
some of the cutscenes, the loading into
yeah, really bad. But the gameplay works fine. But I do miss playing a baseball game on like my.
And I want to update you. I did start my Rockies franchise.
Congratulations.
Got through spring training, figured out who I was going to like position around and everything. It's opening. I played the first game of the season, played opening day, and then I'm going to sim after that. And I had Herman Marquez starting pitcher, or starting the opening game. 8 1/3 shutout innings. He was in such a good bid for a no-hitter.
Oh, no.
And then just a dirty line drive just down the third base
just one
line.
Of those nasty.
Took every seam off the ball, but didn't have the height or the angle to get over the wall.
Oh, man.
Got a double, and then the next batter, just a blooper right behind second. Guy on second scored.
Just
At this
starts-
point, I was up 6-0, so it
Okay, that's good.
it wasn't like a devastating loss at this point. Like, oh, we lost the no-hitter and now we're down. We still won, but it was like so close to opening day no-hitter. Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been great. But yeah, man, the Rockies.
No good.
They don't have a lot. They're like each team has like a little like description. The Rockies description is in rebuilding.
Oh wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
not a lot. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
Is Charlie Blackmon still playing for the Rockies?
No,
No, he's no longer with the Rockies. Did
I
he
don't think so.
retire? Did he sign somewhere?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But I don't remember seeing him on there. But I did just quickly go through free agency to see who was there. And, sitting in free agency, Alex Verdugo, Anthony Rizzo,
Oh, okay.
bunch of Yankees that got cleaned out. And then JD Martinez. I'm like, ooh, do I pick up JD Martinez again and give him another stellar career? Ender.
Yeah, so it looks like Charlie Blackmon retired.
Yeah. Okay.
Retired at the end of last season. I had no idea. I don't really follow the Rockies. And he's special assistant to the GM now. Good for him.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why we're talking about Charlie Blackmon.
Okay.
Okay.
So talk about the Rockies.
Sure, yeah, and you can't not talk about Charlie Blackmon if you're talking
Who else are you going to talk about from the Rockies?
well, could have talked about Nolan Arenado, but he's not with the Rockies anymore. So
Yeah.
is John Gray still with the Rockies? I don't know. All my Rocky players are from like 10 years ago. So yeah.
Does Raleigh Fingers still play?
Okay, so yeah, is there anything else you want to
No,
say?
go ahead.
So I picked up Assassin's Creed Shadows. I played Assassin's Creed Mirage, which was sort of a secret remake of the first Assassin's Creed. So I didn't really count it as like a modern Assassin's Creed. But I have not played a mainline Assassin's Creed since I think Assassin's Creed 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I enjoyed it, but I ended up not playing it after a while. I just kind of dropped out of it. When Assassin's Creed first came out, I played it a lot. Like I played the first one, Assassin's Creed 2, Revelations, Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed 3. So there was like the first one came out in 2007. I think Assassin's Creed 3 came out in like 2013. So those 6 years there, I was just playing Assassin's Creeds like all the time. So eventually I kind of got
Burnt out of them.
burnt out with the series. I got back in with Mirage because I was interested in it because it's an interesting piece of history and all that. And I enjoyed Mirage, but Mirage was very much a remake of the first Assassin's Creed. So it wasn't like as expansive, or you didn't have all the gear or all the upgrades or whatever that you do in like, your mainline Assassin's Creed games. But so I was interested in Shadows because I thought, hey, cool, finally an Assassin's Creed game that goes to feudal Japan. One of the characters is an actual ninja, like an actual ninja in a time period when ninjas were like actually a thing, which is cool. So thus far the story is interesting. It's a story about revenge. I'm not sure how the characters shake out. There's I always pronounce her name wrong. Nail, I think, like Naue. There we go. Naue, who is the lady. Then the guy is Yusuke. How do you pronounce it? I'm sorry, the pronunciations I'm kind of completely dropping at the moment here. But Naue is the main character, and I've played as her mostly. Yusuke appeared at the beginning of the game, and then I haven't seen him since. So I'm not sure if you like meet him later on in the story and then you play as him more. I don't really know. But for Naue, it's a story about revenge, which is interesting. I'm not sure how far they'll push that narrative or how much more complicated it'll get. But I don't want to spoil too much. But she's a younger character who goes through a traumatic event. And then it's somewhat similar to Ghost of Tsushima in a way. Okay. Where there's an invading force, and instead of it being the Mongolian army, in this case, it's Oda Nobunaga, who is one of the I don't know a whole lot about feudal history. I've tried like reading it as I've played, but it's one of the warlords that was taking over swaths of Japan at the time. If I remember correctly, there wasn't like, at this point in history, there wasn't a shogun or like or maybe there was an emperor, but there were parts of Japan where there was like warring warlords and stuff like that. In any case, Oda Nobunaga is one of the warlords. He's like the main villain, and there is a special like group of samurai who Naoe is out to get revenge on. I thought it was a little corny because this group of samurai that she's out to take down all have like distinct looks. It's like almost superhero-esque. They all have like distinct masks and stuff, which I thought was a little cheesy, but for the most part, it's fine. Her story is told through flashbacks, which act as missions. So in a lot of Assassin's Creed, I think, is a series that wants to explain how its main characters became, how they learned to fight, how they learned to jump on buildings and stuff like that, you know, because they're part of this Assassin's Order. So it's like, where do they get trained? And so like in Assassin's Creed 3 and Mirage, I think, I don't remember in Assassin's Creed 2 how they did this. But the point I'm trying to make here is, in multiple Assassin's Creed games, they make it a point to demonstrate how the main character got these skills. And so in Shadows, they show flashbacks where you learn how Naoe sort of got her skills, learned how to fight. She was taught by her father, who was in the Order of Assassins. But what's interesting is I don't think she knows what the Order is yet, because so much has happened so quickly. I think she kind of has an idea that there's something, but I don't think she understands the full magnitude of like the Assassins versus the Templars or whatever it's called, right? I think she just knows that her father was like a warrior and not a part of this globe-spanning organization that has fought like a secret war with the Templars for years and years and years. But those flashbacks are nice because it allows you to play the game. You're in the open world. You can go do stuff, climb towers, whatever. And then when you're ready, you can go do a story mission. You get a flashback. So you get a little bit more of her story rather than having that front loaded on a 3-hour prologue that then once you get over that, then the game starts. You don't have to do that, which is nice, which is what Assassin's Creed 3 did.
I was about to make like, oh, what game did that?
Yeah. Which Assassin's Creed 3, I would be interested in going back and playing again just because I'm curious how it would shake out against my memory, but that doesn't matter. The stealth gameplay is really good. So in Assassin's Creed Mirage, I thought the movement was kind of rigid and stiff in a way. Assassin's Creed Shadows is not like that thus far. Naoe is super, I hate to use the word because it's kind of cliched, but she is very fluid. It's easy to jump on things. It's easy to jump off things. Climbing things is super easy, and also she can crawl, which kind of makes it which makes a pretty big difference here because that adds an element of stealth. So not only can she crawl, but you can also hide in shadows, hence the name. So at night, if you're in a shadow, there's a little visibility meter type thing, and if it is all the way down and there's like an eyeball and there's an X through the eyeball, it means you're practically invisible unless someone steps on you or walks up on you. So you can sort of crawl through a camp, and as long as you avoid the light of a fire or a lantern or whatever, a torch or whatever, you're basically invisible. So in many ways, it reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell because you're literally sticking to the shadows, you're moving in places enemies aren't looking and stuff like that. Where and there's also, bushes you can hide in and stuff. But was that in Valhalla? I don't think so. Like being able to just stand in a shadow and disappear? No? Okay. No. I think this is a new thing for the Assassin's Creed series. I don't know for sure, but I think it is. But yeah, so...
Assassin's Creed Valhalla kind of forgot about the whole assassin part.
Did it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But this makes the stealth gameplay really good. You can take out lanterns, or like if there's a lantern hanging from a ceiling, you can throw a knife at it, break it, and Splinter Cell it up, and all of a sudden the entire room is dark or something like that. You can pinch candles and blow candles out and stuff like that, so you can create little paths of darkness while you're sneaking through enemy camp. And then there's also like grass and bushes you can hide in. But then if you're out in the middle of the day and there's no shadows to hide in, there's like a couple different types of foliage you can hide in. So there's obviously the bushes, which you can, crouch, but then sort of ankle high grass, you can crawl through, and the grass makes you invisible. So it's another way of like sneaking up or hiding from enemies when you're crawling around. So there's another element of stealth there that I really like. I have the game set on the hardest difficulty, so getting into a fight with a bunch of different people can be difficult. So it has been pretty fun to do guerrilla tactics, surprise, kill a couple guys, run away, disappear, hide, and that kind of combat has been a lot of fun.
Self-arching.
Yeah, not yet. I haven't found a bow and arrow, but I'm sure I'm getting close. But those tactics have been fun, and paired with her movement style and how easy it is to like get around and jump on things, that means her escapability is easy and it's fun. So also enemies don't climb up on buildings after you. I know, I'm not sure which Assassin's Creed games included this, which ones didn't, but I know in some Assassin's Creed games, like in Mirage, if you attack a guy and jump up on a building, they'll just follow you and crawl up on the building, just like
I know they would in Odyssey. I don't remember. There wasn't a lot of buildings in Valhalla.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if they did in Valhalla or not.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't really buildings.
Yeah. But in this one, they don't. They'll chase after you. They'll throw rocks and arrows, and they have muskets, so they'll fire at you. But if you get up on top of a building, they sort of stand at the bottom of the building, and eventually they go back to like their patrol routes. So that's interesting because that, yeah, again, it's all about that sort of escapability. And so I'll have to play some more. I'm enjoying it thus far. For the most part, it feels like a pretty standard third-person action game with a relatively standard upgrade tree and relatively standard looting and stuff like that. I will say that I hate how Ubisoft integrates live service bull crap into single-player games. There's like a single-player battle pass type thing that is in the game. I can't express how much I absolutely detest that. I don't see why. There are optional little like live service missions you can do that are set on a timer. There's a cosmetics store for single player that is set on a timer. I guess Assassin's Creed isn't the first game to do that. But that stuff just bothers me because it's just like, it's just that's what makes Ubisoft so exhausting to me is this insistent on jackhammering live service economies into places where they don't need it, and just in the hope that whales out there will inject some form of capital. And I hate that because what it means is instead of me just getting content, or instead of me being able to play a single player game and get content, there is now a barrier that is put up between me and content, and that barrier is there for stupid live service reasons. And so instead of me just being able to experience the game, I have to interact with a false, fake, fictional economy that exists only because Ubisoft has this incredibly obnoxious desire to, like I said, jackhammer live service bullshit into everything they do. It's very annoying. Yves Chamont should lose his job, and Ubisoft should just go back to allowing single-player games to be single-player games where we don't have to worry about rotating content and that disappears after a couple days, or missions that are somehow tied to a battle pass system. None of that should be there. It's a single player game. Just give me the content, allow me to experience it. As soon as you put in a real money economy, the design of that economy is going to be dictated by you trying to figure out how to monetize that. So stop it. God damn it. But other than that, Assassin's Creed Shadows thus far, positive. I'm enjoying it. Can't wait to play some more. And yeah, is there anything else you would like to talk about?
Baseball starts this week. I'm excited.
Too bad the Yankee season is already over.
Baseball starts this week.
Play the ad. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server. Okay, so there is a new union for video game developers. The Communications Workers of America is launching an industry-wide union for video game workers in North America and Canada called the United Video Game Workers. Reading from their mission statement, the UVW says, "Our mission is to take back our lives, our labor, and our passion from those who treat us like replaceable cogs, to empower our fellow workers, to link up arms with the laid off, with the freelancer, with the disillusioned contractor, with the disenfranchised and the marginalized, with the workers laboring invisibly to keep this industry afloat. Our goal is to create a union, your union, to fight the whims of CEOs and private equity vultures. Your union is one built on fundamentals, fueled by the solidarity of members spread across trades and companies, ready and eager to fight. While we negotiate for fair contracts inside the studios, we will also build power and wage a broader battle across the industry, creating a vibrant community through shared struggle." The UVW is a direct join union, meaning it does not represent a single workplace, but anyone in the games industry. The group also says they plan to write the first video game worker Bill of Rights. Okay, so this seems like a culmination of a lot of different things. We've talked a lot about unionization of the games industry, all the problems that would come with that. But yeah, I feel like that discussion's been had and it's over now. It needs to happen. People across the artistic and technological the sciences and the arts in video games. Everybody deserves to have some kind of union fighting for them. And yeah, we can't forget, they announced here the whims of CEOs and private equity vultures, which yes, especially with private equity vultures, but also with the specter of AI that's just hanging everywhere. I don't know. I view AI as something that is, I don't know, just incredibly distasteful and frustrating, and that's as somebody who just plays games. I can't imagine what that must be like if you're somebody who is in an industry that constantly treats its workers poorly, and then you're supposed to trust CEOs and executives who say, no, we promise AI won't be used to replace jobs. We promise it's going to be there only to make iterative tasks easier or to make ideation easier so you can get on with more tasks and stuff like that. It's just hard for me to believe that that's really something that, I don't know, that's really something that they care about, or that's a value that they're going to uphold, or even if it is a value that they actually care about. If an executive leaves and some other executive joins, what's to say that executive isn't hey, why do we need these concept artists when we have AI that can do the job? And that's frustrating. We were going to talk about, and I'm mentioning this off the top of my head, and I didn't read the report, but Media, who is a market research firm, they released a couple different studies this past week, and one of them was that people view generative AI in games with apathy more than anger. And their position was that, according to the people that they surveyed, was that consumers don't care about generative AI, it's apathetic, and that the voices against AI, generative AI, are in the minority, but they're a loud minority, right? And according to their data, that may actually be true. I don't know. I also am curious what kind of people they surveyed. If it's, and this is going to come off wrong, but I do think that casual people, maybe who, your Candy Crush people, maybe people that play Call of Duty sports games, they may not care as much about generative AI because they don't know what it is. They're not sickos who follow the industry like us. They don't see its labor implications. So when we talk about people's reaction to generative AI, it's like, okay, but what standpoint are they coming at it from? How much do they know about it? How much do they know about its usage in secondary purchases and stuff like that? And how much do they know about where generative AI companies source their material? Because these models have to be taught based on something. And it's like, where are these companies getting all that information from? Are they getting it legally? And if they are getting it legally, are they getting it ethically? which are two distinct things. So yeah, sorry, I'm only bringing that up in relation to this because I feel like there's a lot of money being thrown around with AI, and right now for a lot of people, it's a bet that needs to pay off. Just like with NFTs, and a similar case with NFTs, where NFTs needed to succeed because people spent money on it and they wanted their investments to work. Not because NFTs were a good technology. They weren't. It's just because people had money invested and they wanted to get a return on that investment. Now, my opinion is, fuck the return on your investment. Go invest in, I don't know, something else.
NFTs, yeah, no fucking thanks.
Yeah, there you go. And I think it's a similar thing with like AI. And I don't know, I worry sometimes that like the larger majority of people would get apathetic toward AI. But did you see that trailer for it was a DLC for Ark Survival, right? The people that are developing the DLC are not Studio Wildcard. It's a completely different studio. But they released a trailer for this DLC. It's like an underwater DLC. And the entire trailer was generated by AI. I want to say it was like Snail Games or something like that put out the trailer, and I think is developing the DLC. But they put out this generative AI trailer, and it just got trashed everywhere. You go to the YouTube page, and every comment is like, "You're disgusting. This is stupid. You should be ashamed of yourselves."
Surprise comments still allowed on it.
Yeah, which is interesting. I don't know if there's been any updates about this since, but the reason I'm bringing it up is I feel like it's a good thing that it seems like the general online consensus is an overall aversion to generative AI stuff, because I think that's good. But the problem is the ramifications of that. If you're a company who is investing so much money into that stuff, it's a problem. If public perception is against generative AI, but you need to make money off of it, what do you do there? I don't know. Maybe we just live in a day and age where companies can say, you know what, screw you. You're going to buy Call of Duty cosmetics anyway. So we're just going to keep this generative AI thing rolling. And no matter how many people complain, it just doesn't matter. Sorry, we're talking about generative AI now, and we should talk about unions. But I just think that's one of the SAG-AFTRA strike is all about generative AI, and how these companies, I don't know, these companies, you know, one of the things is about one of the sticking points in the SAG-AFTRA negotiations was like, your work is only protected if your face is recognizable. So if you do motion capture and you're a dancer and you do a dance, and then that's put on an alien or somebody that doesn't have your face, all of a sudden that's not protected. So that can be used by generative AI or whatever, right? And that's wrong, because that's your work. And why does it matter whether or not you're recognizable or not? Like, you had to do that to produce that thing. Why should that go in perpetuity to a company that's going to use it for generative AI purposes or something like that? So when we talk about this kind of stuff, and, you know, companies say, well, we just, you know, it's going to help with ideation or whatever. It's like, well, then why is it that, you know, video game actors have to go on strike? Yeah. Why isn't that these companies aren't, if it's just about ideation and making things simpler, why aren't they budging on any of this? Which is why I think a lot of that is bullshit. But I remember when the union talk first was a thing, and it was like, okay, a lot of in the video games industry, not in general, a lot of the opposition, I guess you could say, to games unionization had to do with like okay, but what about? But what about games what about all these studios that have people in different countries? And some of these are real concerns. What about studios with tons of different disciplines, right? Do you have a union for coders, a union for artists, a union for motion capture? You know, that would be actors, I guess. But the point is, do you have all these different unions with different, and then what if companies start outsourcing? And the problem is like, okay, well, you could sit down and do nothing and allow corporations to exploit you anyway, because they're going to do that regardless. Yeah. Or, yeah, you try and form something like this and try and get a seat at the table and bargain collectively. So, yeah, I think this is nothing but positive. I hope this especially in a day and age when unions in general are weakening politically. I think there's nothing but good things about this. And I think if you care about video games, if you play video games, you should also believe that the people that make video games, from junior artists to executive producers, need to work in a place that is healthy, where their rights are protected, and where they are not exploited, and where they are given the best possible experience that they can get. And yeah, where hopefully somehow we can fight back against the whims of CEOs or, God forbid, private equity vultures. Yeah, sorry, I've talked for a long time.
Oh, you're fine.
You're the QA tester, so I'm sure you may have opinions on this.
Oh, we're trying to unionize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you open to talking about it? I probably should have asked you before the show.
No. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be any, like, the corporations cannot dictate what I talk about outside of work.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I could talk about us trying to form a union.
All right, would this thing interest you? Because this is not, like I said, this is a direct join union, meaning it doesn't have to, it's not a specific workplace. It's more of like a wide umbrella, to borrow a phrase, that I get, that it covers QA workers, a bunch of different disciplines are covered.
If there wasn't a movement going on at my work right now,
Yeah.
I would. The one, like the union that we're trying to join, I'm helping with that specifically because it was being pushed through by workers at the company. It wasn't people reaching out. It wasn't people reaching to the company to be like, hey, do you guys want to join a union? It was people within the company being like, we need to unionize.
Sure.
And so at this point, it's more of a solidarity thing than just joining a union.
Okay.
It's joining with my coworkers.
What would you say are some of your goals for, I don't know, what would you want to get out of, like, there are obvious things like protection. Okay, but what does that mean? Like, what do you think are some goals that you would want to see? And this is, and we didn't plan this. This is totally off the cuff. So if your answer is generic, that's okay. Because
I do have information.
Okay.
I can bring it up if you want.
If you want to talk about it, whatever you're comfortable. This is horrible podcasting because we should have discussed this beforehand, but you were scarfing down Church's chicken because it's late and we needed to record. But whatever you're comfortable sharing, you can share.
Let me just find. Sorry, a lot of information.
Sure, yeah. Well, do you know what step of the process? Because you guys have to, because so many people have to vote.
Yes.
And then you register with the NLRB, correct? And then once that, I'm not sure what happens after that. After that, I think the NLRB just recognizes you. And then will they send a letter to your workplace saying, hey, these people?
I believe so.
Okay. And then after that, they have to recognize you. They can't choose not to. As much as places, big video game companies would probably love to say, nah, I think they have to, yeah.
I'm looking for it. I am disorganized, so information I have might be we talk about this later thing.
Okay, well, off the top of your head, what are some of your goals? What was something you would want to get out of a QA workers union?
So one of the things that gets pushed back a lot of is, and this is with all unions, is pay disparity. We have been told that we are, fairly well paid for the position, like for the tasks we do, the work we do. We're told that, we're in the upper percentage. That is just a straight lie. We actually we're in the lower half
Oh, really?
of QA testers nationwide.
Okay.
Yes. And so just being more on par with what the average should be would be an initial goal. Because of state laws, we don't have sick days. We get paid time off And if we have health issues, we have to tap into that. We don't have specific sick days to take care of health issues. We have to use our personal vacation time.
Yeah, just like Ayn Rand imagined all those
Exactly.
years ago.
Yeah. And so like getting better representation of like we're people, we have lives outside of work.
Sure. Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
Do you know about the like oh shoot, what's it called? Somebody has a kid, somebody has a baby.
Oh, parental.
Yeah, like parental leave.
Maternity and paternity leave.
Do you know the details behind that kind of stuff?
I know there's maternity leave.
Okay.
It's not very long.
Yeah, it probably needs to be longer.
And I
would
think
assume.
the paternity leave is even shorter.
And probably needs to be just as long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would say those are. Sorry, I just because you were mentioning if you get that like flat just vacation time, and that's what everything gets taken out of. Yeah, I would imagine. That can be...
I've worked because like we're essentially a temp agency. We're an offshoot of a temp agency that does more dedicated focusing towards working as QA testing. Another one I've worked for, insert name here, I'm not actually going to say, did give bereavement time. So death in the family, stuff like that. They gave you time for that. We don't have that.
Oh, okay, wow, no.
So if we want to, attend a funeral for a family member who died, either we bite the bullet and don't get paid for that day, or we tap into our PTO.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would say those things are worth.
And then there's some things that aren't really like strictly work related, but are worker related. An email was sent out, and it's understandable. They're like, "Hey, we sympathize with the cause, but we can't have like people posting like GoFundMe links."
Okay.
Coworker's house burned down.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I understand where they're coming from, but also someone's house burned down. So it's like I understand that they have to set a hard line so that you set a rule and you don't bend on that rule for various reasons.
Yeah.
But instead of seeing the opportunity and being like, you can't have this like conversation in our professional chats, but if you go here,
Yeah.
you guys can, help out
Sure.
the person whose house burned down.
Instead of just stating the rule, it's stating the rule alongside stating a possible solution. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah. How do you think unionizing would help something like that?
Honestly, I don't know.
You just think maybe through the process that maybe you could facilitate some kind of better culture through like solidarity or whatever, where you can find ways where like your fellow coworkers could come together in a way where you'd have I'm speaking in abstractions here, but the idea is that because you're unionized, because you're more together, whatever, you would have these sort of cultural outlets where you can do things in a non-professional capacity that would then get around those like hard corporate rules or whatever. I understand what you're saying, because it's not like the union could come in and I imagine it's not like a union could come in and get your bosses to just change.
No, but
change
it's more of creating that atmosphere of
that's better, that atmosphere, that culture. Yeah.
And then one thing that happens at work and is purely worker driven, which again this would also feed into that atmosphere thing. We have quote unquote achievements that we can get where it's like submit X amount of bugs, complete specific tasking, stuff like that. That's all done out of the guy who does its wallet. He puts in the time to organize these things, buys the challenge coins and the fridge magnets.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this guy puts a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
And I know that's not necessarily something a union can cover.
Sure.
But we do a lot of work here. And the most we get from, upper management is a thanks for, putting in lots of hours for them.
So maybe something Maybe like in Severance, you get a mug.
Yeah.
Yeah, something little.
We don't even get that. We don't even get a fucking mug.
No, yeah, I totally understand a lot of that. I think, but again, to get back to this, I think, yeah, this is there. I don't think there's a better solution than this to help workers in the video game industry.
No,
because corporations aren't going to do it. Bobby Kotick wasn't going to do it. Phil Spencer ain't going to do it. So Yves Guillemot sure as hell is not going to do it.
Unless you can find a time machine and change the course of capitalism, there's no better way of helping the workers.
There's no better way than unionizing. So yeah, good. Okay, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I want to talk about a GDC talk. Players in open world games don't explore. PC Gamer's Christopher Livingston wrote about a panel at GDC. The panel was hosted by former GTA 6 and Red Dead Online game designer Cameron Williams. The title was Common Open World Problems, and the first point was players don't explore. So I'm going to read a quote here. Again, this is Williams quoted in PC Gamer. Players just don't explore, right? Whether that's because you have a super action-oriented game or because they just simply aren't compelled, or your game has a huge time investment and it's hard for players to pick up and put down, which is an increasing challenge, especially with the sort of evolving ecosystem of free-to-play and live service games that are kind of eating everyone's time and attention. Okay, so I thought this would be an interesting discussion because it got me thinking about, like, I
have thoughts about this.
Do I still explore in open world games? What games? I assume this is based on, obviously, data that he has, that Cameron Williams has of his games. So he's coming at it from a data perspective. But I do think there may be reasons for this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go ahead.
So if there are specific mechanics to exploration, I begin to lose interest. Because instead of exploring, now it's, we're going to hold your hand and we're going to guide you through the parts that we want you to see. And come look at this shiny thing. And come look at this shiny thing. And come look at this shiny thing. Instead of just creating an environment that somebody wants to be in.
Yeah, wants to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I do feel like I tried to think, okay, what's the last open world game where I aimlessly explored? And I think it was Red Dead 2. Because Red Dead 2, you could go on the map, you could see buildings, and so you can mark it, you could travel out there, and then every building was like a little weird story.
Yeah.
You know, there was a building where an asteroid or a meteor fell into and killed a guy. There was a building that was covered in vines, and if you got in, there was a woman who had died, and she had a letter she wrote to her lover who fought in the Civil War. And so all these little tiny mini stories that only exist for you to poke at and find. The story isn't the Red Dead quests or missions aren't ever going to take you to these places. As opposed to something like Assassin's Creed right now, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I don't see a reason to explore. Right now, one of the huge things is that the area that I'm in is very mountainous. So it's difficult to explore because mountains are everywhere. So I'm usually traveling by road or something. But even then, it's like, is there anything to find in between roads and between POIs? I don't really think so. So it's like, it's not communicated to me that exploring is something that I need to do. And it's partially made difficult through the terrain. Kingdom Come Deliverance is another example where I don't explore much in Kingdom Come Deliverance, but Kingdom Come Deliverance is like a simulation open world.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you walk into the middle of the woods in real life? So it's like, there's no reason to do that in the game. Maybe there are things out there, but the idea is like, it's a simulated sort of medieval historical world. So you're not going to find a dungeon in the middle of the woods somewhere. There may be one somewhere in the game, but I'm saying like something like Elder Scrolls. Now that's the game. Those are the games that I think of when I think of exploring, because the Fallout 3 and the Elder Scrolls games, specifically Oblivion and Skyrim, they had a bunch of content that you didn't go to unless you got a quest or something. Or I mean, you didn't go to at all. Quests wouldn't take you to. And so, you would just have to go to them and then explore them, which meant you could go out into the world and roam around and find things. That was one of my favorite things about Fallout 3 was I and the way I remember Fallout 3, this may be wrong, but I remember you would find a building and then it was like instead of you being in a town, Adamville or whatever that was called. And you walk up to a guy and he's like, "Oh, down here there's a old school building with bandits," and you go there and you kill the bandits. Instead of that building is just there and you find it and the quest is like starts and it just says school or whatever. And then it's like once you finish it, it says the completed school. I don't remember if it said that or not, but I do remember that like the quest, you found the quest. You didn't get told to go somewhere. Instead, the quest was at the place that you discovered, right? And you discovered it because at the top on your compass, it would have little arrows for POIs that were nearby, and you could just follow it there. So that gave you a reason to explore. And zany stuff happened in the open world. It's Fallout, so the Rad Roach King or whatever, right? You run into that funny stuff. So it gave you incentive to sort of wander throughout the world and find some of these things. So it's like taking it back to this GDC talk, I find it interesting because is it that players don't explore or is it that the games aren't really designed for exploration? I think that's an interesting dichotomy there. Did you have?
Well, I was going to say like to go back to like Oblivion.
Sure.
I don't know how many people, it's probably more than I realize, but I don't know how many people found the unicorn in that game.
I'm sure a lot have, but
yeah, especially like, well, we'll say more of like before 2010.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Before 2010,
You're an OG unicorn.
Yeah. Before 2010, I don't know how many people found that. Before, the widespread use of social media.
Sure.
And that's something that in a more modern game would be pointed out to the player.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so you have these things that can be done naturally, but the powers that be making these games want to make sure that the player experiences everything in the game imaginable, which is why you can be the leader of every faction in a game, because they want you to experience everything.
Yeah.
And Oblivion had that problem of being able to be the master of everything.
I understand.
But there was a separation there. Like once you stopped doing these quests, that wasn't the end of the game. There were still things you could find. There was shrines, the danger shrines that you could stumble upon, and now you have that localized quest. Or you stumble upon like chance encounters that lead you into miscellaneous quests. And it's these small things that don't happen unless the player is outside exploring.
Yeah, so it has to be facilitated somehow. Yeah.
And you can't have it fed to the player because then they aren't exploring.
Yeah.
They're following a quest line.
Yeah.
And for games where it's the exploration is go to each of like these points and climb up to the top of the building, scan, like get the eagle sync and then jump off the building.
Yeah, Ubisoft style.
That's not exploring because you get the little pin marking like, all right, go here, do it, go here, do it, go here, do it.
I would say there's a distinction between the Ubisoft checklist open world and like the Skyrim type open world.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with when you get near a place, it says, hey, over here is a cave if you want to go here.
Yeah.
Because that is a place that you once you got in proximity of it, you were made aware of its presence, but you had to get into proximity of it first, right?
Yeah.
So that means that tells you as a player, hey, I haven't been to this part of the map. I'm going to wander over here and see what I find, as opposed to being told to go to that part of the map, right?
Diegetic exploration is what's fun, is what makes the exploration in games fun. And you can't just be like, all right, we're just going to have an infinite map for them to wander around in. There has to be stuff to do. You can't go as far as we'll just procedurally generate planets for the players to land on, and then you know, when you load into an area, you get a new set of buildings to go explore, a la Starfield, where exploration was none.
Yeah, explore and Starfield. We could talk a lot because I love exploration in Elite Dangerous, but there isn't a ton to find.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I like it is because you find different star systems. You can go to different nebula. Planets have different gravity, so like landing on them can be kind of creepy. And they've added things throughout the years. But so I don't want to get into that discussion. But I think Elite Dangerous is exploration is more good than it is bad. I'll acknowledge a ton of problems with it. But yeah, it's like Starfield felt fake because, I would try and land on, I don't know, the topography felt, or the geography felt samey everywhere. When in Elite Dangerous, when you're in orbit of a planet and you see a giant mountain range the size of the Himalayas or something, you go and land and it's like that mountain range is massive when you land. It's a geological feature. Or you find craters that are like, I don't know, freaking 3 miles deep, and you land in the middle of that crater, and it's just this massive geological feature, right, of this planet. And so yeah, at the end of the day, is a crater a giant hole? Sure, but imagine being able to find Grand Canyons at different places and being able to fly through them and stuff like that, and spotting these mountain ranges and landing on top of a mountain range and driving around and then piloting your ship all the way down. But the difference between this and like Starfield is that Starfield didn't have it. It felt like there was no distinction. There was no there were hills and stuff like that, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go land on, I don't know, were there mountain ranges in the game? It just felt like the planets had a similar scale.
Yes.
It didn't feel like a realistically scaled mountain range, right? Because mountain ranges are like, they're massive. It's like the size of it's not like a mountain is just a point, like a pyramid or something. It's like the size of entire cities of just mountainous. I'm describing a mountain, but you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Like people don't when you stand on top of a mountain,
So
it's not like one.
We'll put this into perspective. When you're driving across the U.S., you will begin to see the Rockies well before you arrive at them.
They're massive,
and by the time you're at the foothills of the Rockies, they take up the skyline.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like you're surrounded by mountains.
Yeah.
It goes from a 2D object that's like in the distance on the horizon to now somehow this object, you're surrounded and engulfed by it, right? That's the cool thing about the Earth and how big it is.
Yeah.
So like in Elite Dangerous, when you see a giant mountain range or you see a giant river system that's dried up from orbit, it's awesome to be able to land in it, to take it and see it from different perspectives, from the orbital perspective and then from the on-ground perspective. The Grand Canyon looks cool from space, I'm sure, but it's like when you're standing at the edge of the rim, it's a different perspective.
And I do remember in Starfield, the planets looked fairly flat.
Yeah, there was just
you would hover over an area, it'd be like, this is mountainous, and you would land there, and yeah, it was steeper terrain. But you would go to an area where there were some mountains, and the mountains felt the same. They were the same height. Yeah, there may be more of them around you, but it didn't have that same sense of grandeur.
Yeah. So I don't know. What were we talking about again?
Exploration.
Yeah. So I think if a game gives you a good reason to explore, things to go find, I think people would. So I'm curious about
And you don't have to be worried about people not finding the cool things in your game.
But I don't know, from a game designer's perspective,
No,
I understand.
I don't mean do nothing and let them find it.
Yeah.
Like Red Dead 2. All those little houses. What are they? They're just little squares on the map.
Yeah.
There's nothing leading you to them except for your will to go figure out, hey, what's that square? The players will find the cool things if you provide them the tools to find the cool things at their speed.
Yeah, I'm afraid to talk about game design in that context because one, I think it's harder than we realize.
Well, I'm a QA tester, so I know everything about video games.
Oh, God. You have me at a disadvantage, good sir. I am but the crumb on the biscuit of your intellect, sir. Sorry, that's Star Trek Strange or Lower Decks. But so it's like when it comes to a game design perspective, like I'm not one of these people that if they see a box with yellow tape on it, I like freak the fuck out. Because I understand game designers, they have to make their game work, and sometimes just a direct and obvious way to do things, as much as we might not like it, sometimes that just helps them get the job done. Sometimes not every decision by a game developer is like, oh, my art today is going to be just this amazing piece of artistic art. Sometimes it's they need to nail a hammer into a fucking wall, so they're going to use a hammer and they're going to go on with their day because they're working. They can't sit around all day and, oh, the design of this castle it needs to be more in line with Gothic designs of the 18th century. It's like, no, we just got to get this fucking open design kitchen built right now. So I understand. So I'm not one of these people that like freaks out when developers make compromises like that. But yeah. So, but I would agree that like,
for all of its flaws, Flight Sim has a better exploration than Starfield because things look authentic in the game.
And like mountains are scaled realistically.
Yeah, it's 1-to-1.
So it's like as you're flying through a mountain range, it's like it's a mountain range.
Yeah.
It's jagged and massive and and that's awesome to experience and to feel like you're in a place where you can't really land or something like that.
But they'll try.
I'm sure people will try. Is the Grand Canyon's in?
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be fun to do a canyon run.
So one of the challenges that appears is flying an F-18 through the Grand Canyon.
Is that even? Are there any turns that are that difficult in an F-18?
Yes.
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 Going like what speed?
Oh, you're going full throttle because it's a time challenge.
Oh, okay. Fun.
It's a race.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I may try that one day. But anyway, yeah. So that was sort of my thought on it. Was I think. And I do think there are players out there that won't explore, that are just going to be beeline. Like, I definitely think there are the player archetypes, and there's nothing a game designer can do to break you out of that. But I don't know.
A player who's content from just going point to point in the story and just experiencing the story, putting the game down, they may not explore in a game.
Yeah.
They can pick up Skyrim, just follow the main quest line, put the game down once they're done, and be like, that was fun. And they may not explore at all.
Yeah.
Person like me, I'm going to fucking climb every
me
hill
too.
and mountain I see.
Yeah.
I'm going to Skyrim my way up the fucking mountain if I can.
Yeah. But I do think there are ways that you can, I don't know. I'm afraid, like I've said, I'm always afraid to talk about design or whatever. But I do think there are ways you can facilitate that. I think about like Elden Ring, right? And the ways Elden Ring does exploration. You find a statue that's pointing, and it's like, where is that statue pointing? You follow it, there's a cave, right? And in that cave is a boss and a dungeon and all kinds of fun stuff. And so it's like you learn that if you follow point to point, you're bonfire to bonfire, whatever, you're just going to do the story stuff, but there's so much side stuff you can find if if you go off the beaten path and whatever. So anyway, all right. Anything else you want to say about this?
Cameron Williams worked on Red Dead Online.
Yeah.
Specifically Red Dead Online or Red Dead 2 Online?
I don't know. I believe I can look at PC Gamer.
Because if it's Red Dead 2 Online, that makes me sad. Because I wish it got a crumb of the attention that GTA 5 Online got.
It just says Red Dead Online.
Okay, so maybe the first one then.
Maybe the first one, yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that once GTA 6 releases. Have they said how they're going to handle that?
What, Red Dead 2 Online?
No.
It's already abandoned.
Yeah. No, I mean, like GTA Online, are they gonna like merge it somehow?
Probably.
Or is there gonna be a GTA Online 2 or something like that?
GTA 6 Online 2.
GTA 6, GTA 5 Online 2.
There you go.
Follow us, youtube.com/gaming discourse, patreon.com/gaming discourse. I'll see you next week. Bye.